Welcome back to Capper Review. I'm Tasmin Mahfouz, and this week, DC News Now's Mark Hall spoke with Congressman Steny on his reaction to where the GOP stands on the next House Speaker battle and the war between Israel and Hamas. Take a listen.
We're joined by Congressman Steny from the great state of Maryland. Congressman, thank you for taking time out to join us.
Glad to be with you, Mark. Thank you.
Let's just talk a little bit right now about the concern that many Americans have in the House of Representatives. Jim Jordan, I guess, withdrew his name now for consideration. Where do things stand? I think most Americans would like to have a speaker so we can move forward.
Well, we need to have a speaker, and it is a shame that the Republican Party is so deeply divided and divisive and led to their dysfunction. There is an opportunity to move ahead in a bipartisan way forward. And they've been able to do that for the last 2 weeks, very frankly. From time to time, we did do it. And in reaching a deal on the debt limit, reaching agreement on the numbers for next year's appropriations, and making sure that government didn't shut down at the end of September. So we've had that ability. But unfortunately, the Republicans have been spending all of their time fighting with themselves and being unable to get to an agreement on either a speaker or many other issues as well. But we need a speaker. We need to move forward, and I'm hopeful that we will do that in the near term. And I think we will be prepared to be part of the solution, even if it's a short-term solution.
Well, Congressman, politically, the Democrats didn't owe former Speaker McCarthy anything, but the party chose not to back him. Was that a mistake, or why didn't the party as a whole back McCarthy? At least maybe some would say you knew what you had in him versus the unknown.
Well, the fact of the matter is, of course, the 2 days before that on Sunday talk show, news show, McCarthy said he didn't want to deal with the Democrats, so that there was not an opportunity for us to engage and to negotiate. But I think that we do need stability. We do need to have a speaker. We do need to be able to do the people's business. We're at a time of crisis in Israel, time of crisis in Ukraine. Obviously, we need to pass a relief bill for many of the parts of the country that have been assaulted by natural disasters, and we need to provide for some stability in the Far East as well. So there are a lot of things that we need to do, and we need to get back to working. We've been out now 2 weeks because of Republican fighting among themselves and inability to reach a consensus on a speaker. Now they have the more numbers than we do, 221 at this point in time to 213, I think. We had 212 votes that were cast on now 17 ballots for Hakeem Jeffries. He clearly had the majority of votes in the last 2 votes we've had. But because of the rules, you need to have an absolute majority, and he did not have that. So although we were agreed on our side, had a consensus on our side, the Republicans could not forge such a consensus. And so we've been leaving America in many respects in limbo. That's wrong. We need to get to a bipartisan consensus to move forward, as I think is possible and has been demonstrated from time to time. But I'm hopeful that we can get there again.
To talk about Israel, as you know, President Biden just returned home. Your thoughts about Israel and what we can do, the Israel-Hamas conflict or war, what can we do to help provide more support, and especially in the House? Are you guys limited in what you can do because of the lack of leadership at the time?
Well, I think right now, of course, under the rules, we are precluded from considering substantive legislation until we elect a speaker. I'm hopeful that we're going to elect a speaker in the very near term, and that we will be able to be fully operative because, first of all, we have a resolution of which I'm a co-sponsor, which over 400 of the members out of 435 have co-sponsored, supporting our articulating our strongest support for Israel its right to fully defend itself and to make sure that its people are safe from those who initiated the heinous and devastating attacks on civilians, families, children in Israel, and particularly those communities close to the Gaza Strip. I've been to one of those on 4 different occasions. I've been to Sderot on a number of different occasions. So I've been to a number of the communities that were attacked. They were not military installations. They did not have offensive intent in any way to attack anybody. And so we fully support, and I fully support, the president's speech a week ago and then the president's speech the other day in Israel. I think he's absolutely correct. We have great empathy. And I want to say we have great empathy for people on both sides who are not combatants. We don't have empathy for terrorists. We don't have empathy for people who commit wanton killing against civilians, families, children, the elderly. But we certainly have empathy for the people who are essentially trapped in Gaza by Hamas, a terrorist organization. And as a matter of fact, the president talked about that very strongly, about how we need to help those both in Israel and in Gaza who have humanitarian needs. And the president's been working on that, and he has, I think, hopefully made a breakthrough so that humanitarian supplies will be able to get through to the Palestinian people in Gaza. The Egyptians apparently have agreed to allow that to happen, and I'm sure that resulted from conversations with President Biden. So that's good news. We have empathy for all of those non-combatants, innocent civilians who are being put at risk at any time you have a war, not just this war, but at any time you have a war.
Congressman Steny Hoyer, thank you so very much for joining us.
You're very welcome. Thank you.